What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Seven Figure Flipping Podcast. This is Bill Allen. On today's show, we are breaking down another deal. This is my guest, Sarah Carlyle's fourth deal that we talk about. But we talk about leading up to it, how she got into real estate, the three deals that she did before, what went right, what went wrong, and then the differences between those first three deals and this fourth deal, where she made $72,000. So you're not going to want to miss this show. We'll roll the theme music and jump right into it.
My name is Bill Allen, and I'm the leader of a group of elite house flippers and wholesalers called Seven Figure Flipping. We don't brag or show off our success, but instead let integrity and stewardship be our guide. We are dedicated to helping people unlock the freedom they desperately need. If you ask other real estate investors, they will say to keep your secrets quiet. But we believe in abundance, not scarcity, and that's why we are the elite. We are Seven Figure Flipping, and this podcast is our playbook.
What's up, everybody? I am back. I got another great show for you guys today, and I'm excited to talk to my guest. We had an opportunity to meet at Flip Hacking Live last year. I got to talk to her. I also saw her like all over Facebook and now watching her 500K challenge and all the things that she's doing. Really, really impressive. And I think that she's got a lot to teach you guys about what she's doing, some of the results that she's seen, good, bad, others, all that stuff. So it's going to be a fun conversation today. So my guest today is Sarah Carlyle. Sarah, how are you?
Hi, Bill. I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. I'm actually excited to learn more about you, learn from you. When I do these podcasts with some of our members, it's some of my favorite things to do because I really get to know you guys a lot better. And when we're at our events or we're kind of, talking on Facebook, the connection is not really like one-on-one. So these are always fun to do for me because I get to learn like more exciting things, some about your history, some of the results that you've had. And, I get to learn stuff. I always have like a page of notes when I get done. So maybe you can tell everybody, just get us set up. Who are you? A little bit of background, stuff like that.
Sure. So I'm from Canada originally, and moved to the United States 2 years ago, but actually moved from Mexico. So we moved, my husband and my daughter and I moved from Mexico to Fresno, California, which is where we're based out of. And so we've been here, since the beginning of 2022. And so that's how I ended up in the United States, sort of a bit of a North American tour. And so when we got here, we have a family. My husband has a family member here who wanted to get into, or had already sort of been into, some house flipping and things like that. So asked my husband if he wanted to get in on that with her. And so, so that's how that was the intro into real estate investing and flipping houses started. And so then it's just sort of now gone from there.
Okay, so 2 years ago you moved to the U.S.
Yes.
From Canada, from Mexico.
Yeah.
So I had no idea you were Canadian, I don't think, and I also didn't know you moved. So we're already learning about Sarah here. And so 2 years ago you were just like, hey, we know somebody else who's flipping houses. Let's just give this a shot. What was that like? Like, and what were you doing before that? Do you have a job, or what was that like?
Yeah, and so my goal coming to the United States, I didn't have a green card, so I actually couldn't work when I got here. But my idea was to get my green card and then work. And I was going to get a job, and I was going to work 9 to 5, and I was going to have paid vacations and health benefits and all of that. And then, so when I got here, I was actually working for a Canadian company in human resources, but from here. And that was for about the first 6 months, but it took a long time to get my green card. I didn't get my green card until into March 2023, I think. So it was quite a long time. And so sort of how that evolved from my husband getting into, starting into real estate investing, I sort of by default then took an interest, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay, so your husband started doing this real estate thing, and then you were working full time, and then you're like, hey, I want to get more involved in this. So tell me, let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah.
What was it like early on when you guys were doing the real estate?
so, he started doing one and I was sort of just on the sidelines. I would, kind of, keep track of some numbers and things like that. And so he did two originally, or we did two. And then we decided that, okay, well, you know what, the partnership, they wanted to focus more on Airbnb, and we thought the flipping side. So we decided then we would, go our own way. And in that time, I started looking at real estate a bit differently. I've never been even really interested in real estate on any level, except for maybe buying a house. But so I started to see how it kind of worked. And I dove into all the free YouTube content. I dove into anything I could find, and I ordered books and to see, okay, if we're going to do this and make it a business, what does that look like? And so I would say the first two we did were sort of more just sort of like, not a real thought out process about, how to run the numbers and things like that. And so my first, so it just sort of kind of started evolving like that. And I finished the contract I was doing for this company in Canada and thought, okay, I still can't work. I still don't have a green card. So this seems like, this is what I'm going to do now.
So the first couple that you did, what were some of the results of those? Were they in Fresno?
One was a good, and again, like I was less a part of those, but one had a good decent return, and then the second one didn't have a great return, and that's when I started to be like, well, there's got to be more than just, here, we'll offer this. We think we're going to put in this and we're going to sell it for this. There's got to be more to it. And so that's when I started to realize that there is a science behind it. And one of the first things I did was I was watching somebody and they had their calculator. I probably could have Googled it and found the same result a little easier, but I screenshot it and then I recreated it. So it was, the closing costs and all of these things. So then I made my own. And again, right, I'm pretty sure I probably could have found one on Google, but this was a great one. And it included every single cost. And then it allowed us to look at properties a lot differently. Because before this first one, we weren't including closing costs and holding costs and all of those other costs that really make or break a deal on a lot of, these, on a smaller ROI. So yeah. And so that was how that started.
Does your husband still work with you in the business right now?
Yeah.
He does. Okay.
Yeah. And he does more like project manage, like he sort of manages the projects when we have them in Fresno. Yeah.
Okay. Is he going to listen to this?
Yeah.
Is it safe to say that you're the brains behind the operation right now?
I am definitely the administrative, and like numbers person. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys are probably have some different personalities where
for
you're
sure,
like the bean counter, the numbers, and he's kind of more of the visionary, let's make things happen, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because as you were talking about these first two, it was like, we made money and then we didn't have a good return. You didn't necessarily say we lost money, broke even, whatever. But you were like, this is going up and down. This is not consistent. This is not what I want to do. Let me go figure it out. There's got to be a better way. Let me build the mousetrap and then let's go play the game differently.
That's right. So that's how it began. So that's basically how it began. And now we're talking into sort of fall of 2022, I suppose, is when I kind of started to take it seriously.
Okay. And we didn't meet, I don't think, until fall of 2023, right?
Correct. That is correct.
So what are some of the early books that you were reading or things that you were like consuming that you feel like gave you a good setup for, is there something you could recommend for somebody that really helped you?
Yeah. So, well, one of the most like basic ones, and I can't actually, I don't remember the name of it. But a lot of it was content. A lot of it was YouTube content or Instagram. I shouldn't say that. YouTube, Instagram. And actually, I found
Really?
I was on some Zoom webinar, something that you did also in those early, like probably early 2023 as well. I went onto Instagram and started pretty much just following, and I got a lot of content, a lot of great, just basic stuff, right? And
Yeah.
basic stuff that I had been missing. Right. So it kind of took me back to, okay, so, it's not just about jumping in. It's not just being like, because I think in the beginning I thought, oh, well, if you find a house that is distressed, well, then you can buy it and you fix it up. And that's not the case. There's a lot more to it. And so, so, like following yourself, following, some of the other, bigger, like Ryan Pineda, and that was a lot of my information came from that.
Got it. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not like huge on Instagram or even YouTube at that time. So if you came across
Might have
something
been
of mine, it's very
Facebook. I
interesting.
found I might have listened to yours on Facebook. It was somewhere. It was one
Yeah.
or the other. Anyways, yeah.
So okay, so fall 2022, you guys are starting to build out some processes and things like that. And so what was like the next year like up until I met you?
So we actually didn't end up. So no, we did do another one in the fall of 2022, and then that one was okay. It was still learning, and then 2023 was a bit of a change, of a turning point. I did join a mentorship program in 2022 at the end, because I thought, okay, I need something, and it was more about out of state investing, and so I thought, oh, I can do this. And so I did learn a lot of basics. Again, I was really trying to focus on basics because I'm the type of person, like, I need to understand things very, very clearly before I go out and execute. And so that gave me, again, basics. And so then our first, I'd say, like, awesome big deal came in April of 2023. So by that time we had 3 under our belt. And so April 2023 was when we sort of had, a really good, like, wow, this is what they talk about. This is what you see, right? This is what people talk about, or this is what Instagram shows you, right? And so that was again, another turning. I think each property is sort of, it's a learning, we've learned so much from each one. And so this one, again, was a learning one. And it was, we ran numbers really well. And it was also a lot of luck, in a way. Just, the property came about at a good time, and it was, all of the things. I wouldn't say luck, but a lot of things aligned.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this one. Let's talk about this one.
Okay.
It's probably going to give me a ton more questions. So
Okay.
let's dive into this deal right here. So April 2023. How'd you find it?
Through a wholesaler.
Wholesaler. Where was it?
Fresno. Yeah, it was in Fresno.
Okay.
Yeah. And so
how did you know the wholesaler?
So my realtor here has a really good relationship with this wholesaler. It's a big wholesaler in California. They do hundreds and hundreds of deals a year. And it came through them to her. And then
you had a relationship with the realtor. Realtor has a relationship with the wholesaler. Realtor saw it and said, hey, Sarah, you guys might be interested in this property.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Tell me about the deal.
So one of the things about it was a higher, and like it had, I think their wholesaler originally wanted over 500 for it. So a lot of people don't touch those, right? A lot of
Is that expensive in Fresno?
Oh yeah. I mean, Fresno's expensive, but it's also, it was a 2,100 square foot home on one of a really highly sought after street and area. So, it was a nice home. But a lot of investors don't want to tie up that much money in a in one investment. And so the thing with this one was, it was lived in by an older couple who were collectors of many things. So their house was extremely full and extremely dirty. But we kind of saw past all that. So we ended up getting it for $455,000.
Okay, hold on. Let's back up a little bit. So
Yeah.
wholesaler sends it to you over 500,000. What did you do?
Yeah.
Did you go look at it? Did you tell the wholesaler
No.
their asking price was crazy? Like, what was the next step?
Yeah, so no, didn't look at it. I saw pictures. I did see an inspection report. This wholesaler always gives inspection reports, so I saw that.
Okay.
Went through it. Needed a really big cleanup, right? So running the numbers, which includes like looking at, the comps in the area. So we look within 10 years build year, within half a mile, with, similar square footage. Does it have a pool or doesn't it? How many, garages? And so we look at all of that for the comps, and say, okay, so this is what we think it'll be worth. And we originally saw it and thought, okay, we can sell it. We can literally clean it and relist it for $585. And that was the plan. When we bought it, that was the plan. It wasn't going to make, I think that profit was going to be about $42,000, which made me super nervous because we tried to look at, 10% ROI on the ARV, right? So, so it was a little bit nervous because it wasn't the profit margin that I thought should be on that expensive of a house, but it was a great area and we didn't really need to do anything. So we went ahead. So we said, okay, yeah, there's a profit to be made. These houses sell. So that's what we'll do.
Okay. So you never looked at it?
Not until after we bought it.
Okay. And is there a reason why you didn't go look at it? Like
I was out of town. I was actually out of town.
Okay.
So I shouldn't say it. My realtor did see it.
Okay. So realtor looked at it. You trust the realtor. Yeah. They try to transfer some trust to you. And so you just made an offer. Like, why did you think that they would take a lower price than asking price?
Well, I just feel that's a bit of the game of wholesaling, isn't it? That you just offer less. They ask for more and you offer less.
All right. So there's a few lessons that I want to teach here for the people that are listening. So, and I'm not going to give the lessons yet because I want to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
The story, but over $500,000 asking price, 2,100 square foot, highly sought after area, higher end house. Yeah. Option one is we can clean it and relist it for $585. So you ran some numbers based on that. So I would buy something for $455 if I could clean it up and relist it for $585. And then the backup plan was to just fully renovate it, like gut it.
Well, so the backup plan at that point, no. At that point,
the primary plan was we're just going to clean it up, list it for $585.
That's right. That was
so you had you didn't run any other numbers, like what if we fixed it up? What could we sell it for? Any of that stuff?
Yeah, because there were some good comps that were selling for I shouldn't say that. Yes, we did, because there were comps for like $630, and like a model match home and that had sold the year earlier. So it didn't really fit within our 6 months range of looking at the comps. But of course, yes, we did look at those. And so I guess we did have an idea like, well, if we did put a little bit into it, we could, maybe, but if we put in 15, we want to make sure we're getting, more than 15 back out.
Yep.
Right. And so, so going back to your question, why did I offer? Because that was our number. That's what worked. If I'd offered $475, then it wasn't it wasn't in our best interest to move ahead on it. And so why $455? Well, that was the number that worked. And we weren't.
And was it just like an email response or like you reached back out to them? Like, how did that go?
It goes through this particular wholesaler is all through my realtor.
Okay. So you told the realtor, hey, we'll pay $455. That was your opening offer?
Yes. Yeah. No. No, it wasn't actually. It was, I think, it was actually 475. And then I backpedaled and I was like, oh no, 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 take it back, take it back. 455, can't, 475 is way too high. No. I got in a little bit of emotion. I'm like, oh, but it's such a great house and all of this. And so I sent that over to her and immediately was like, no, roll that back. We cannot, that's not what we want to do. And so,
did she send the 475 to the wholesaler or not yet?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then she said, just kidding, 455.
I think so. Yeah. But I think too, they had said, oh, well, we have someone at 490 or we have someone. And so she said, well, whatever, then they can go. But then whether they did or not is one thing. And then, so then it was settled 455. That's our max.
And what happened? Like, did they take it right away? Did it take a while?
Yeah. So I think they were pushing their limit on when they had to close. They had to close. I think we closed in a week or 10 days because they needed to get that contract to sign. So they went back. They said they went back and renegotiated the price with the seller. Again, if that's what happened, I'm not sure. But we ended up getting it for 455.
Yeah, they probably did. I mean, as a wholesaler myself, over 500K asking price, and you're giving me a haircut of like 70,000. I probably have to go back and renegotiate that. But now I have. So I teach this a lot, and I tell people all the time, like, you got to make an offer. Like, if you don't make an offer on everything, if you analyze it, if you look at it, if you underwrite it, make an offer. It doesn't matter how low it is. Like, this is insanely below asking price, and you may be the only buyer that's making an offer. And as a wholesaler, we can't go back and renegotiate if we don't have a solid buyer. So they made an offer, 455. They ended up getting the house. You closed quickly. How did you finance the project?
Hard money.
Hard money. We did local hard money. How'd you close in 7 days?
Well, they actually closed in 3. So the company I used, they closed in 3 because I actually went with another company, a local company. And they appraised it really, really low. So they were only wanted to give about 70%, I think. And with that, and we had been contemplating like 80. And so that was a difference, I think, of about $40,000. And so we were financing that 20% that the hard money wasn't bringing in. So that was a difference, like $40,000. So I jumped to another company and they closed in 3 days. I got them on board on a Tuesday and we closed on the Friday.
Had you had a prior relationship with them at all?
No, I'd spoken to them. I'd spoken to one of their account executives a few times. We kind of, but no, they'd never lent to me before. Wow. Yeah.
And then you used your money for the rest?
Yes.
And the hard money for the rehab?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And then, so now you guys bought the house, you went and looked at it. How did it change from clean and relist? Like what happened next?
So in this crazy time of this, like 10 days, so between the time we kind of bought it or, went into escrow until we closed, so it's in this pocket in this really nice street called Audubon in Fresno. And it's a really nice area. It's a sought after area. And in that time, and then we closed, so within 2 weeks, houses were going way over ask. They were selling in a day or two, they were getting under contract in a day or two. And there were sort of 5 or 6 homes within that time that were just, going really, really quickly. So with my realtor, who, kind of talked about it and, she said, what, I honestly think like you can push it up to probably 620, 630 with just, maybe a bit more. So we looked back at our numbers. So we were originally going to put in 15,000 to clean it up because it needed paint, it needed the landscaping, it needed the pool, done, not replastered, but so we had kind of contemplated, we're like, okay, 15,000. That'll get us cleaned up. It'll, we can paint it and there we go. When we looked at it and we looked, if we just did new countertops, painted the cabinets, reglazed some tile, we could get it up to those comps that were pushing 620, 630. So that's what we did. We basically put in another, so I think originally we had said 12,000 for renos, and we pushed it up to 28,000. And that took our ARV from 585 up to around 620.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And then you listed it, and like, how fast did you clean it up? How fast did you sell it?
we had it for 2 weeks. 2 weeks we relisted it, and I want to say it was on the market for 4 days. So I think it went up on like Thursday, open house, and I think on Sunday or Monday we accepted an offer.
For how much?
628.
628.
Yeah.
And how much did you make?
About 72,000.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's like my first 2 flips combined. That's
well,
awesome.
I do like to say, like, it makes up for the the previous ones that we did that were not 72,000. Right.
Yeah. So that's some of my questions. So number one, we talked about some lessons learned here. One was, continue to build relationships. Wholesalers have good deals. You have to look past the asking price. You have to look past a lot of things. You had a relationship with a realtor, brought you, have you bought any other deals from these wholesalers before or since then?
I bought another one from them since, which we actually wholesaled, just in December. 42. Okay. Yeah.
And by wholesale, you mean you just bought it and then relisted it?
Well, I shouldn't even say we didn't. It was, I guess we essentially wholesaled it again because we didn't even have to relist it. It was a good property for buy and hold. Yeah. So without doing anything to it.
Yeah, that ticked me off. When I moved to Nashville, we didn't know the market well enough. We had a deal that we sold to someone. I think we made 25, and then they bought it, listed it on the MLS, and made like 60. And I just watched all this happen, and I was like, oh my gosh, like we had the money. It's not like I'm a broke wholesaler. Like I had money at that time.
Right.
I had a lot. I could have easily bought it. I had the means to buy it. I could have made 80 or maybe 75 after, commissions or fees and all that stuff. I was like, oh, I need to learn this market better. So that can happen for sure. So one thing that I wanted to ask was, how do you think the first 3 deals that you did that may not have given you the results that you were expecting set you up for success on this deal?
So I guess a few things. One would be, it made me realize that flipping houses is a business, is a thing. Because honestly, I'd never ever considered it ever in my life before. I'm not that risky. But so one it brought me into.
Do you think it's risky?
Well, I mean, not now. I don't now.
Why? Okay. See, our words matter. So I want to make sure that the people that are listening, because look, like, do you think you just said not now? So why did you think it's risky then, but now you don't think it's risky?
Because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand that you could actually understand the deal pretty much down to close to the dollar, what your profit's going to be if you follow the correct steps. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I realized, that you can't actually anticipate what you're going to get out of it, or you can actually see what you're going to get out of it before you even get into it. Right? Sure, there's some, there's things that pop up and whatever, but so that's what I didn't understand before, that you can actually calculate out the whole process essentially.
So I interviewed a professional poker player, and she made me realize that this is one of the, like, quote unquote, like, unbelievably, I hesitate to use the word safe, but like low risk environments of making money on the planet. Like she convinced me that her poker playing is not risky. She's like, if I have a 60% chance of winning the hand, all I have to do is play more. She's like, if I just play more, then I'll win every time. the casino, she's like, the casino has a 51% chance of winning on a lot of these games. And all they need to do is get you to play more. And so what she said was the most risky thing is just doing one and then stopping. So if you did those 3 and then stopped, that would be risky. So she's like, she said, over your career, how many houses had you done? And at the time it was like 500 or 600. And she's like, how many have you lost money on? I was like, like 4. She's like, 4 of 500. And I was like, yeah, but it was, I mean, some of them were kind of a lot of money. She's like, it does not matter. She's like, that's like a 99% chance of being successful. All you have to do is play more. And so I was like, whoa. She's like, if I had a 99% chance of winning, I put all my money in nonstop forever. And she's like, I'd be like way better off than I am right now.
Right.
And so that's the thing is like, we only lose when we quit.
I agree.
And also you have to do a little strategy pivot from time to time. So, okay, let's get off risk for a second. And there was a couple other things. So what else did you learn from those 3? One was that you said that flipping can be an actual business instead of just like a side hustle or hobby. The other one was, we talked about risk. Like you see that it's not as risky as you thought because you learned the process.
Right.
What else?
And I think, I think just a lot of that is that, so for example, when we first went into this project, we could have done a whole new kitchen. We could have done all new bathrooms. There's so much we could have done. And I think when you go into this and it's like, oh, but it needs this and it needs this and it needs this. And then you have to step back and be like, but is that bringing me more profit? Is that bringing me value? Or is that just going to make me, reduce my profit? And that was one of the other things in that sort of like that maybe talk about like over renovating or over rehabbing, right? It's a real thing because you get in and you think, oh, wow, but are people going to pay for that? Not necessarily. Right. And so another thing learning from that is to really watch your comps. What are they doing? You don't have to be the best, the better. You don't have to go so far above and beyond. You have to make your product look and feel similar or a little bit above that. But that whole sort of reinventing the wheel or, over renovating isn't necessarily going to bring in a better return.
Yeah, I had to learn that the hard way as well. I was definitely over renovating, HGTVing my houses in the beginning and just like making them so I would live there. And I didn't understand that other people just want a house to live in. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. And so I wrote down, leave emotion at the door. Like don't be so emotional when it comes to the projects. Okay, so where are things going right now? Like what's next for Sarah and your business and things? Where are you at now?
So we're coming into now we're 2024. So I found you guys at Flip Hacking Live, and it's been fantastic. It's helped me now sort of. I think before I was very scattered. I was like, what are my goals? I don't know. I'm just trying to do this. I'm just trying to do it. And so now I'm sort of focused. We have like a real focus. We have a real goal for this year. As far as the number of properties we want to do. So right now we have 2 properties we've just bought in Fresno to flip. And so our goal is to exit, 12 properties this year. So we have 2 that we purchased now. One of them should be quick, should be about a 4 or 5 week rehab. The other one is also a bit of a cleanup, a bit like that property I was talking about there. Profit margin probably will not be, that 70s, but that's okay. It's more of a cleanup. Again, it was, some people who like to collect and stuff their house with many things.
You're so nice to your sellers. You're so nice with your sellers.
Right. But, so these actually properties, we actually got them both off the MLS. And one of them they were listed at $575. We got it for $468. And the other property was listed for 250 and we got it for 190.
And how do you do that? You just make offers based on what you need.
Yeah. What number works. Yeah.
Just run the numbers and make your offer. How many no's do you get before you get a yes on something like that? Or are you two for two? You just put in two offers and you got them both.
No, that one, I want to say those ones were probably out of 20 offers, which I feel is pretty good. That's not normally the ratio that I would get. But yeah, so we do, like in Fresno, I'd make a lot of MLS offers. And then I'm starting to work. I'm starting to network more in Fresno, starting to know more people, starting to sort of get into that. And that's been another big push for me as far as the business is all of this networking, all of getting to know people in the same industry and that sort of thing. So hopefully to work with more wholesalers in Fresno as well. Yeah.
Nice. So for any of the offers that you sent in that from those other 18 that you didn't get, was anybody like rude responding to you about your offer?
No.
Like, what's wrong with you, Paxton? You deserve to die. Any of that stuff?
No, not yet.
Did they come to your house and yell at you?
No, nothing.
Okay.
Nope.
So
no shaming, not even anything.
So a lot of the things, it's a business, guys. Is run a business. If the numbers work, if you're taking all that time to run the numbers, submit the offer. Like, the agent will just present it. If it's not for them, that's okay. And honestly, you might get a call back a week later, a month later, 2 months later, like, hey, is that offer still good?
That's right.
Let me check. Let me run the numbers and check. No, we have to come down a little bit. Or you might be like, ching, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah. The market got better. So, okay. The last thing I want to ask you before we wrap up here is, you started on like Instagram and YouTube content in the beginning. Yeah. And then you've joined a few like coaching programs since then, like the out-of-state program you talked about, and then the Runway program, obviously. So how has like the growth and learning different been between the two? And if you had to go back, like, would you do it the same way? Would you recommend somebody like join something faster? Like, what would you recommend for people?
Yes. Yes. So would I recommend joining fast? Yes. So that content was great. And like that free content. But what it didn't give me, and what I have now, for example, I don't know, how much you see in the Facebook group, but I ask a lot of questions. I ask all sorts of questions about anything I think, because I'm like, somebody must know, somebody, whether it's one of the coaches or what, just somebody must have dealt with this, or somebody must have some sort of idea what I'm talking about. And that's a key for me, being able to sort of, if I have questions or an idea that I kind of just can't, fully grasp, or something that I can ask and somebody's there to answer. And that's a huge piece, obviously, that when you're just working with free content that you don't get, right? It's not two-way, right? You're just absorbing, but then it leaves you with a lot of questions, right? And more questions and more questions. And I still find that, right? The more I'm learning, the more questions I have. And that's just my nature too, right? I want to know, I need to know. And so when I have, this, then I can ask and people answer, right? And it's, and it's good info, and it's people who have done it and been there and understand, or, maybe they haven't yet, but, and I think too, that it just helps to, also make those connections with other people.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the reasons why people are answering you all the time, and I am in there, I do see your questions and your name's in there a lot, and it's great. Like, that's what it's for. That's what I expect. Right. Honestly, right. It's the people that are quiet, like observing, like the people that are in there, that are consistent, that are showing up, that are playing all out, that are asking questions, that are attending, that are going to the accountability groups. They're like, they want to learn. They're actually taking action. They're buying houses. They're fixing them up. They're making money. They're talking about their stories, all those things. Like, that's really important, because that gets you moving in that direction. And it also gets other people saying, that's somebody that I need to watch out for. Like, that's somebody who I want to help. and you build a connection with them. So the next time you ask a question, they're answering it. Boom, boom, boom. I think a lot of our questions get answered, but there's definitely like the people in the group that get their questions answered the most are the folks that are the most active. And so like for me, when I was just getting started, I was the exact same way as you. I see a lot of me in you. Like I was asking questions nonstop. In the beginning, when I joined, I was just like taking in as much information as I can and asking for help. And then it was like, then the shift started happening and I started getting experience and I started learning lessons. And then I could start giving back and helping. And then it became like more giving back and helping than it was asking questions in there. It was like, I got more experience, done hundreds of houses, and then I could just give back and give back. And it's just, that's the progression of learning anything. So I agree with you. The Instagram, YouTube stuff, like books, things like that, I think they're good. But as far as speed goes, it takes a lot of time to try to take all that and figure out what to listen to and what not to listen to, like what to sort through. One more follow-up to that. If somebody's looking for a program, like what would you recommend that they find for them? Like, I don't think that the Runway program or Altitude or anything that we do is for everyone. Like, what is the thing that you would say? I mean, I'd love it to be for everyone, but I totally get it. Like, we're not the right, like we might not mesh well. We might not be the right fit for somebody that might be looking for something that's different. Like, what is something like maybe a little bit of wisdom from you of how do you pick the right program? Or do you just like pick and go and then figure it out along the way? Like, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's looking for their first program?
I think the first program I really feel comes for a lot of people, it's the price point. And so I think whatever program, I mean, do your due diligence and find, someone who you like and, has, shows, whether you're finding them from Instagram or whatever. But I think just getting into one, that fits the price point, and, that you can find that, looks like it, has some modules or a program. But I do think that getting into one is important. Regardless. And then, for example, I came and I found Runway later on after Flip Hacking Live. And at that point, I needed that next step. I needed you and I needed all those coaches and I needed just a different, I just needed that. And so that's how, I came to when I looked at Runway and thought, yeah, that's what I need.
So it sounds to me like figure out what your needs are and then take a look and analyze, do I think that this program is best to suit my needs right now?
Yeah. And I think a program is better than, no program, like as long as they're vetted. I mean, check out a bunch of different programs, of course, obviously. I mean, but, I don't know. Like, I just think that a lot of people are the same. Oh, it's too expensive. Well, yeah, maybe. But at the same time, so since I could say since joining Runway, I've, bought, I've wholetailed one. I have two others that I'm fixing, it launches you so quickly that at the end of the day, that, you're making 3 or 4 or 5 times more than you would have, than the cost of a program, right? So I think that that's a big part of it, is that you have to understand, the program, whatever program you choose will cost you some money, but the result from that is exponentially larger.
Yeah, it costs you a lot of money to just kind of float around and figure it out on your own. It cost me a lot of money.
I was going to say, it cost me money to lose money, so or not make money. So right, so I think in the end, that's exactly it. It costs more money in the end.
Yeah, the opportunity cost is crazy. Like when I look back at just years of inaction, actually, like not doing anything, and just it cost me a lot. And then joining and doing like 67 deals in the first year, I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought I could make this much money. And then it pays for itself like 100 times over. So
easily. Yeah.
Okay. If you guys want to join 7-Figure Runway or check it out, you can go to 7figurerunway.com. So the number 7figurerunway.com. Great program. I love it. I love a lot of the scenario-based training and simulation that we're doing and things like that to try to take the risk out of the equation. And then obviously the accountability groups, the meetings, quarterly meetings, the coaching calls, the Facebook group that Sarah talked about, that's really valuable. Just all the discounts as far as hard money lenders and all kinds of stuff. Would love to have you. Sarah, how can people find out more information about you? Whether they, what do you need? How can I help you and serve you to the audience? They're saying thank you for being on the show.
You can find us on Instagram at ESCA Property Group, ESCA Property Group. And you can, on my Instagram, you can see my evolving 500K challenge that I'm doing through Bill. And it's going, I'm doing live, so you can see us there. So we're raising capital for our projects, our upcoming and ongoing projects. So you can find out more about that on Instagram. Anybody in the Fresno area, have a look, check us out, and get in touch so we can do some deals together.
Awesome. So if you have deals, send them. If you want to invest with a Canadian who came to the U.S. via Mexico with no green card, do you have a green card now?
I do.
Oh, she's got a green card now. So then you can hit Sarah up on Instagram. What is that ESCA property? What is ESCA Property Group?
My last name is Carlyle. My husband's last name is Escalante.
Ah, okay. So it's your initial and his initial.
Well, no. It could be.
ESCA?
We just took it from Escalante, which is, so ESCA is kind of where it came from, but it could be ES for him and CA for me.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I love it. I've wondered that as I've been tagged on the posts and watching them and stuff like that. So, okay. Well, everybody, thanks for listening. I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you on the next show. If you're interested in 7-Figure Runway, go to 7figurerunway.com, the number 7figurerunway.com, and I will see you on the next podcast. Bye.